Biggest audiences, well, they are in games and they are flocking to esports events increasingly because that is where the action is. It's not just for the players, not just for the enthusiasts. It's also for the brands. Why are brands not present in games? Well, we get the answers from my guest today, founder and CEO of Rooter, India's largest game streaming platform. It is not only revolutionizing the gaming experience, the gaming community experience, it's also bringing brands on board. So how do you do that? Well, we have a path breaker, and I think a bit of a deal maker is what I'll call him. Piyush Kumar, he is getting brands excited about gaming and esports. And we're excited to have you, Piyush, because as I said, deal maker, that's how I think of you. And yeah, we want to get into the groove about how you do this.
Thank you, Peggy. Very, very excited to be here. Always a pleasure to share our stories with you. And as you rightly said, the evolution of a founder is when once the company is formed and the product is launched, and there is a reasonably good product market fit. How do you get into a stage of deal making? How do you close businesses and get them on board? So yeah, excited for this discussion.
You have pivoted from marketing to starting Rooter. You yourself understood that marketing and gaming need to be together. But what was that moment? What made you decide to shift?
So I spent first 7 years in advertising, which is where I learned the fundamentals of understanding who the user is. In advertising, you call it consumer, but at the end, you're talking about a user. So your understanding of user comes best when you work with in the field of advertising, because you're coming up with an advertising insight, and rather a product insight that is getting converted into a communication insight, eventually making a great communication, then a media plan, where do you reach, etc. So that I did for the first 6 7 years. Then when I started to get into the business side of advertising, I said, why do it on this side of the table? Why don't try and switch to the other side of the table where clients are, and actually control the media plan, and uh, probably pick up a product and give them a direction, which is when marketing happened. I worked with a direct to home company called Dish TV. They were India's largest 10 for about 2.5 years, during actually the time when high definition services were getting launched in India. So right at the time when television broadcasting shifted from a sort of a normal level to a very great experience level. And then I worked with a luxury brand, with a company called Swatch Group, which is world's biggest luxury watchmakers, and was handling one of their biggest brands in India called Rado, and a great experience building a brand. So this entire transition, working with different brands, different media partners, different advertising agencies, research agencies, digital platforms, and my own experience of using the tech products, apps like Zomatos and Flipkarts and all these amazing platforms that came in early, that I just thought, it's time for me to take all this learning and maybe start a company. And that is how Router happened. And today, as you say, and I'll just kind of complete the loop, that today, having been in the market for a few years, Router is actually, my life has gone back, because we are spending a lot of time with brands and agencies and helping them reach out to this user, this Gen Z user, which is a very sought after user. So yeah, life has come a full circle. It's amazing.
It's the whole industry has come full circle. What's amazing here is that you have created a platform that's a magnet for players and it attracts brands. That's not just an esports platform, that's a community building platform. How do you work, first of all, with the games companies? Where are you now? How are you getting them to join the party, be part of your massive and growing community?
Game companies are the ones that we have reached out to, literally at the end of doing everything else in Router before that. And the reason is because at the end of the day, this entire industry is being driven by gaming companies, or we call them game publishers. They are the ones who make this amazing games. They are the ones who have this amazing distribution, where people use these games, download these games, spend money on these games. So for us, we wanted to create a very strong value for these gaming companies to work with us, which is why Router was the first and the only platform that invested in building millions of creators. We got the best tools. We have been building creator base for the last 4 years, and we didn't take the easy route of working with the top creators. We actually built creators bottom up, so as we call it, bottom of the pyramid, and kept working with them to improve their quality of content, their production, so on and so forth. And we have this amazing community team that has been building that. The second level thing was we started to work with a lot of digital companies, which is apps and platforms which are looking for users and downloads and deposits and all of it, which we call performance marketing. The third stage was that we started to work with brands and agencies, which is all the big agencies in India like Group M and Dentsu and Publicis and a lot of big brands. And the fourth stage was we got our users to spend money on Router using a subscription that they can take on Router for some exclusive content, or buying in-app currency from shop, which is called Router Shop, and then gifting through Router Diamond. Once these four things were in place, and on the side, our amazing tech team was building perhaps one of the best tech products in this space in India, that is when we decided to go to the gaming companies and say that we have built an offering to help you grow your users, to help you build your creator community, or as you say, the larger community, and most importantly, we would love to help you grow your revenue. So we have been working with companies like Crafton and all for a long time, but in the last 8 months, 9 months, we have gone very deep into relationships with them, and we can see that we will end up adding a lot of value in their journey, which is what a company like ours should do.
It's such a good playbook because now gaming companies, they're looking for ways to generate revenues, build their community now more than ever, because the ways they could monetize their games are very different. The ways they could create their communities very different. And you did that. You built the community first. You gave them the tools. Then you brought in the brands. Then you bring in the games. What is the progress in helping games companies understand the richness of what you offer? It's not just about eyeballs. There's much, much more there.
Absolutely. I think the first and the most important thing, or I'll say the biggest myth we are trying to break for gaming companies who are already in India or who are outside India but are looking at India in a very serious way. Now, having seen all this growth, the next wave of growth in gaming is going to come from mobile gaming. Mobile gaming is completely dependent on the volume. So it is less about a limited number of users and high ARPU. This is more about more number of users and slightly lower ARPU. So this is where India is going to play a very important role, I think, in the next 5 to 10 years, because we already have like 560 million gamers spread across various age groups. It literally means almost 1 out of 3 Indians are gaming actively right now. And this is when the market is still only 40% penetrated in terms of the overall, smartphone population. And that is the reason every time we talk to a gaming company, we can see that they see a lot of potential in India. But the biggest concern that they have had for a very long time is that India is not a good market for monetization, is not a good market for making revenue. And the first thing me and my team do is that we explain to them why India is not the same India they knew 3, 4 years back, and how just in the last 2 years, because of a lot of work that government of India did, and they did it amazingly well, which is bringing digital payment services like UPI wallets, that it has now pushed all Indians to go digital much faster, and we have had like something like 132 billion UPI transactions, and more than 88 or 85% of transactions that are happening online, particularly in gaming, is happening through either a UPI or a wallet. So and most of these transactions are micro transaction, which is people are spending, let's say, 10 cents and 20 cents and can go up to $1 in per transaction, and so on and so forth. So the first thing I do when I enter into a meeting with a gaming company is to just sell Indian government's biggest breakthrough work in digital payments called UPI. And the reason I do it is because I want all of them to believe that uh, all their concerns about monetization in India is getting resolved now. And there was never a better time to come to India than right now. and also because we are now slightly more matured, and therefore we are their best partners. So this is a opening conversation that we have, and sometimes I end up taking half the time of the meeting doing this, which is not directly related to the company or as into the router. But for me, the biggest thing is that we are selling India also to the outside world. And if they are convinced that they need to look at India, I'm quite sure when they'll do the research, router will come up in their most preferred partner. So this is how usually things start. Before I get into what router is and what we are offering and our case studies and how can we help them make more revenue and users and so on and so forth.
A subscription model. We didn't discuss that before. I mean, not only have you built a platform, but you've taken on one of the hardest monetization models and done that successfully.
Yes, absolutely. This is another myth. A lot of people say that Indian users will not pay a subscription fees for content, right? Uh, the answer that we found in our work for the last couple of years, and we observed a lot of platform, is that Indian users will not pay you for a subscription fee for your content if your content is not unique. If your content is unique, if you are doing the right pricing, and if you have the right payment method, Indians will pay. And there are enough and more examples of content companies growing very fast on subscription. And that's exactly something that we saw on Router. That because our team was able to buy exclusive and very high quality content, we said if we put it behind a paywall, people should pay. And we were amazed. Within the first month, within the first 20 days, 85,000 people paid to buy the subscription. And today, every content that we buy in terms of premium content can now easily be monetized through user subscription. And our team has done a great job in it. So absolutely, subscription is something that will take time. I mean, we are not saying it will become like a multi-million dollar business for us right away, but I for sure see that it is going to be a big contributor in the way our user revenue will shape up from here.
There is a base of players. They are enthusiastic. They can pay for the content and they are willing to pay for the content. So it's just a matter of cultivating. It's just a matter of growing it.
Absolutely. See, in India, uh, always the platform that takes the tough route of making people pay goes through the toughest time in terms of evolution, but is eventually the one that owns the market. We have seen this playbook in multiple sectors. Zomato, Swiggy did that in food delivery. We just believe that if you're able to provide value to everybody, to the creator or the esports content platform, or as in the esports content creator, which is the tournament organizers, or anybody for that matter, you will find buyers. And we think our effort at this stage will take us a long way, because when we'll sit 3 to 4 years from now, we would have realized that we have created a very large segment of paying users on Router, which is worth gold. There is nothing as beautiful as a paying user on your platform.
Absolutely. And they give back. They give back because you gave them tools. I remember in the early days looking at what people were doing when you would just give them tools. And this was early influencer marketing in a sense, but it was also very genuine because they are real. Tell me about how you have been able to not just have them create and share, but they're engaging. They are your advocates.
For us, initially, our push was to get them to make the right content, give them the best tools. Second stage was to get them good followers and users and get them good viewership. But third, and the most important one right now, is help them make much better money than what they are making, than what they were making before. So we are okay to go with a smaller base of creators at this stage, but we really want that they should be able to make money in multiple ways. And at the end of the day, we don't want to just have people who are here for like a couple of years and move out. We want people to become like a content creator for a decade or two, which is why a lot of effort that our team is doing to see how they can make more and more money through multiple channels, like gifting, like for example, shop, our router shop, where we are selling gaming currencies. A lot of creators are now have not taken that up and they are pushing those sales. So a lot of things are happening, working with brands, so on and so forth.
And brands, I mean, there you have done it really well, probably because of your background. But I would like to hear a little bit more about how you do that in those negotiations, because looking at it from my perspective, and when I talk to other gaming companies, they're saying, well, brands, they're not coming in because they're not convinced. They're not coming in because they have some concerns about how they're going to be represented in a game. You have
Yeah.
figured that out. I think there's a lot of learnings there. Maybe it was something as simple as just getting along with them. Is it just, connecting with them? I
Yeah.
think it's more, possibly not, but I think it's more than going to the right parties. It can. What is it that brings games and brands together? Because they don't go to the same shows to start.
Yes. Yes. No, no. I'll tell you. I think this is something which is a constant learning for us, and we are still evolving. So very simply put, in India, the biggest draw for brands is Bollywood, which is our film industry, and cricket. These are the two things where brands spend. Bollywood, they spend less, but it's a great way for them to sell their products around these movies and stars and all of it. Cricket is a great way for them to advertise. Cricket has been big in India for a very, very long time. Indian team won a great World Cup, almost a month back. But both these propositions are now very expensive, which is why the Indian media industry needs a third pillar to come up, which is at an early stage, which is affordable, which is reaching out to a very new audience, a young audience who are have some money to pay, but they'll be the next paid class or paid consumer base in India, and that is where gaming is going to play a role. So this is how we look at it, that we are trying to build perhaps the third vertical of consumer class or target audience for these brands and media agencies. Gaming has started to excite a lot of people in India now, particularly these brands and all the agencies. Everybody knows there is something there. Everybody wants to do something in gaming, but nobody knows what to do. So a bit of sponsorship here and there, and some promotion here and there has not really resulted in brands getting anything moving. Which is why our approach to brands and agencies is very different. We don't look at this as a short term thing that, okay, let's make so many dollars for 1 month and then we'll see what happens. For us, the number one thing me and my team are doing is we are basically convincing brands to look at gaming. And why we are doing it? Because frankly, there is no other gaming tech platform that is going to brands. We are perhaps the only one which is in agencies day in and day out, making them aware, pushing them to look at it in a serious way, etc. Second is we are a tech platform. There are very, very few individual separate tech platforms in gaming that can customize offerings for brand, which is not dependent on, let's say, YouTube, which is not dependent on, let's say, a couple of sponsorship opportunities. For us, it is about what can we do for you on our platform in terms of, ad tech. What can we do for you with our creators? What can we do for you to get you sponsorship? What can we do to you to get your sales, so on and so forth. So for us, see, it's still a very evolving experience. But in the last 6 8 months, we have done some amazing product. The world's biggest two-wheeler manufacturer, Hero Motors, they launched their one of the motorcycles, one of the bikes through gaming this year in January. Um, we have been working with GeoCinema for over a year. We have been working consistently with a lot of QSR brands like KFC and a lot of these kind of brands. We work with a lot of tech players like Intel and all for a long time. We just closed a very, very big and a long-term deal with Amazon Pay because they tested us and they were very convinced that esports and router is a great combination. So it is a lot of work. Like at any stage, our team is talking to at least 50 to 100 brands. And even if our hit rate is maybe 20%, but we are just making an effort. And I'm quite sure that this mode will last us much longer because again, 2 years from now, all these brands would appreciate what we did in the initial years to help them get started with gaming, and therefore a trust will be built for a long time.
What I love when I chat with you, Piyush, is you have the long term view. You don't see the quick wins. But that's not that's not the norm in this industry. How is it that you're able to get other parties on board for that?
We have a fantastic team. Everybody lives with this formula, because it's not easy for anybody to convince the team that the real fruit of their hard work will perhaps be there in 3 to 5 years from now. Okay, and why we can dream big is because we have seen some very successful examples in Indian startup ecosystem, with Zomato going public and so many different companies going public, right? I know this, you would have heard a lot of people say this, but I also believe that in gaming things have just not even started, because we are still dependent on couple of gaming titles, and there are many more gaming titles coming in. So for us, we see this, that the industry will start to grow very fast or mature between 2 to 5 years from now. And our playbook is very simple: survive and then we'll thrive. We don't want to rush in, spend crazy amount of money, go for small term glory. We did all of that in last couple of years, and I think everybody has matured. All of us have matured, and we realized that just build it for the long term, because the company which stays till the end not just does best for the shareholders and all the partners, but also becomes an immortal company, right? Hopefully they'll live forever. The brand name will live forever.
I know you well enough over the interviews and connected with you to think that, yes, very convinced it will happen because you're going to make it move in that direction. You are one of these people moving in multiple directions, but also keeping a focus. So it's a difficult balance, but you've done it. And you've also had multiple monetization models that you've looked at. You have advertising, you have influencer marketing, direct sales of digital products. Now you have your shop offer as well. What are the models and mixes that you're seeing are the most relevant now? And some of these are hybrid models, so it'd be interesting to hear as well. Are there models, or is it the mix that makes it? Maybe it's not having particular models, but combining them together.
No, I'll tell you. So here is another learning that all of us got, and something that I think never a book can give you this kind of a learning, which is that at the end of the day, every revenue model is all about the bottom line, or as we call it, gross margin, right? So now we have come a long way. We only talk, and again, this is something all startups must be saying, but for us, um, we have a playbook for all revenue channels, and looking at which one is contributing to top line, which one is contributing to bottom line. And at the end of the day, all of them put together have to, in a very healthy manner, provide a very strong gross margin to the company, so that company is closer to profitability or burning as less cash as possible to see this long journey through. So this is the fundamental on which we work now. Our brand monetization, which has been now going on for more than 2 years, 2.5 years, is our best monetization channel for gross margin, which means because it is a 70-75% gross margin business, its contribution to infusion of cash in our overall balance sheet is very good. So we want to continue building it, because it is this model that helps us burn less cash. It doesn't grow as fast as we would have imagined, because we just discussed brands, and it's not that things can change overnight, but maybe 2 years from now we'll look at this revenue growing 3 to 4x or something. So our brand revenue, whether it is through advertising, performance marketing, sponsorships, everything put together is a great contributor to cash to the company. Second is our user revenue. Within user revenue, our subscription and our gifting currency, which is Diamond, again contributes in a very healthy manner. They are again very high gross margin, revenue channels. They also help us cover the creator cost very well, which is their biggest contribution to the overall business plan. The third and the most important one, which is router shop, which is where we are selling digital assets, that is something which is currently working on low margin, purely because we have just started. We have formed few partnerships. Our goal is not to really chase margins. Our goal is to not lose money for sure, but look at more number of transactions, look at higher average order value, look at higher GMV, And the biggest growth that is projected for Indian gaming industry is actually in-app purchase. That is stated to grow from like half a billion, overall market size to like 3.3 billion in next 3 to 4 years. And last but not the least, on the gaming companies' revenue, that is something which is very fluid at this stage, because our biggest reason to work with gaming companies is to become their partners and less to make revenue. It's always good to make revenue, but for us, the more important thing is how can we partner them and build this friendship for a long time. So even if it doesn't contribute in a very heavy manner to our revenue, we know that in 2 to 3 years it will become very big for us, because that would form like a B2B partnership model. Largely, we divide this entire revenue into three buckets: so brands, users, and gaming companies. As I said, brands contribute the best, but slow growth, we are okay with it. Users will contribute, uh, well right now, but biggest future is in the user revenue. And then, of course, gaming companies. We are not looking at revenues in a very sharp manner, but we're looking at partnership. Yeah, these three are doing well, and yeah, for now, this is fantastic. There are many more channels that will open up. We are constantly evolving, looking at how we can use our data, how we can use technology that we have built, so on and so forth. But with time, no rush for it.
And when I heard about the ad tech component, that would address also the advertising experience, because it seems to me that if I'm understanding this correctly, Piyush, what you have is, because it's your platform and your ad tech in there playing such a huge role, then the experience is not going to be uh, deprecated by disturbing ads, by deception,
Not
all
at
of
all.
that. You are controlling it at the source.
No, I'll tell you, I think the biggest balance that we have in our company is that my co-founder Dipesh, he heads the product and tech, also gets users and manages the community, and then I look after the overall revenue and all of it. So what helps us is that we have a good checks and balance on both sides. So if one part of the team is pushing ads to which can ruin the user experience, the other part is kind of balancing it out. And at the same time, if the product side is only and only focusing on user experience and not on revenue, then we have this side of the people who are basically saying that at the end of the business needs to make money. So it has taken us a long time to get this balance right. While company is very focused on revenue right now, but I think for sure, Router's DNA is that we don't want ads to come in the middle of a good experience. We want brands to be in a respectable space. We don't want brands to intrude a user's experience. We want to try a lot of innovation. We want to do a lot of targeting using our user data, etc. But um, yeah, but at the end of the day, the real hero here is the user and the creator. We can lose everything, but not them.
Exactly, which allows me to get to another part. We're talking about the journey within Rooter. There's also the user experience journey, and it depends in part on personalization, but it's also sort of customizing experiences, um, down to something just as simple as updating and customizing the homepage, for example. You're someone who wants to break a few boundaries, push the envelope. So what are you doing that you think that you're saying to yourself, this is truly unique? This is how I'm keeping the experience fresh and personal.
There are two, three things that we are very particular about. First and foremost, your first experience of content makes a lot of difference. So, which is why we don't take too much of data from users, but we definitely want to know which games they follow, which language they want, so on and so forth. We start our personalization of content journey, which basically means what content you're seeing when you open the app every day, etc. And as we get more and more insights into their behavior on what kind of content they're spending more time on, or they're chatting and all of that, the personalization keeps getting better. We started our machine learning sort of a journey about 2 years back. We got few folks who started to understand how personalization can happen. We implemented a very basic level of personalization, let's say 1.5 years back, basis maybe 6 7 parameters. In the last 6 months, our data science team has managed to apply multi layers of personalization. A proof of which is we were a part of Google Accelerator program for AIML. Google liked what we were building. We were amongst the top 24 companies out of 1,000 plus application and all that. But currently, yeah, I mean, currently for us, the biggest win-win strategy is to serve the best content. That is where it starts. The second is serve the best ads, most personalized ads. Third is serve the best offers for them to get a value of being on router. Let's say they play a game and they can see that, okay, this currency is available at the best cost, so on and so forth. So as long as a user who comes to router feels, what do you call, special, feels that there is a direct connection between them and the brand, um, I think we'll continue to do better. But there is no way we are looking at intrusions or too many notifications and stuff like that.
What are some standout successes in motivating players, in motivating these creators?
Our work with the creator ecosystem has been the longest ever effort, almost 4 years now. We started in the summers of 2020. We are already in the summers of 2024. So I think it's a 4 year effort. For us, see, the biggest value for a creator is can we help them stand out in the clutter? Because our biggest differentiator from YouTube is that when you go on YouTube, it's a fantastic platform, most well distributed content, etc., etc. But it works on a very, very strong algorithm, which means that for you to get into that virality, you need like a lot of luck, which means people down the level take a lot of time to grow, which is exactly the kind of problem we want to solve. If Router is a platform where they can grow much faster as a beginner or as a mid-level creator, then we win a lot of battles. So our effort is to go as deep as possible on a creator's journey and identify who can potentially become big and then groom them and take them forward and fund them and do all of that. Second is technology. We have one of the best tech teams in a streaming space in India. Hats off to them because they are able to provide a great product experience, which is what creators want. They don't want to be on an app which is buggy. And the proof of our this point is our constantly top level ratings on Google Play Store, and we are always on the top one, two, three rank on all the ratings, all the rankings over there. So for us, yeah, I think helping them discover better, get discovered better, helping them get new followers, helping them make more money, giving them and their followers the best of tech experience is really the way to go. And our idea and our mission is same what we started in 2020, which is that we want to build the next 4 to 5 million gaming creators in India. This is the only way gaming content industry will grow. It won't grow on the top 200 people which are available on YouTube, and we're still on that mission.
It's fascinating to hear you say that this is what the community needs, but it's diametrically opposed to what, for example, the algorithm at YouTube, which is not so kind, which doesn't see the long tail. I know a lot of creators outside of India would applaud you if you would arrive, but is this the long-term view? Because you can do that. You can be the alternative.
Now we are the only Indian game streaming platform. All our competitors have bowed out. We started with 9 in 2020. Today we are the only one, and we are standing next to YouTube, which is the only other place creators go right now. Now, as far as YouTube is concerned, we don't really take them as a competitor for two reasons. One, they are not just a gaming platform, they are a multi content format platform. They have everything. They have movies and music and podcast and gaming and everything, right? Therefore, it will be very naive to say that we want to take on YouTube or something like this. That's not the idea. The idea is that we exist formidably next to them, and we are okay if our creators are also there. I mean, it's fine because YouTube is YouTube. Yeah, YouTube is YouTube. Second thing is that YouTube also acts as a great source for us to get users and also get creators, right? So it is the kind of a well through which we get our water, right? And therefore, we believe it is very important for the ecosystem that YouTube does what it is doing. Therefore, it's not necessarily a competition for us. We believe that we have picked one part of their offering, and we are going deeper onto it with experiences and features and monetization models and so on and so forth. That's really the playbook. India is an Android market. Every Android phone has a YouTube. So YouTube is technically there in 97% phones in India. And which is why we are partnering Google at multiple levels, which is why perhaps Google also sees it the same way.
Well, and at the top, I said this was about learnings and lessons from your life, Piyush, and I wasn't in any way exaggerating that. We've learned a lot, but teaching this playbook would be amazing if you could. I know you're a very busy man, but there's a lot to learn from this playbook. And I understand, teaching is also your passion. Where do the two come together?
Well, to be honest, I have changed quite a lot in the last 8-10 months. So I was very active on social media, and we had a very active PR campaign all the time. We had a great communication team within the company, and then we were working with one of the largest PR agencies. And I was very active sharing my thoughts all over the internet. But to be honest, I realized that the day I realized that there is just so much to do, and we need to reset our overall system, which was back in September 2023. I kind of quit everything.
I read
We
that. I
stopped
read that you
PR.
had a social
Yeah.
media detox, in fact. How
Yes, so I got into that detox, and that detox is perhaps gonna last forever if I think, because the kind of sanity I've got is like amazing. So to be honest, I think we have a long way to go to really teach all this, because a lot of what I've said is still fundamentals. It needs to be backed by data. It needs to be backed by our success. When we can back our learnings and thesis with data, with success stories, I think that is the time to go back and teach people at this stage, because I see a lot of people giving a lot of knowledge and a lot of lectures on startup, but I think for us it's early. We want to first finish the journey or get closer to the journey finish line, then preach. Is at least the way I have evolved in the last 1 year, which is why we are very under the radar. It was an opportunity to talk to you, so we definitely didn't want to miss this. But we are rarely talking to anybody. We are just talking within the team and just putting our head down and working. Is the way we are doing right now.
I'm curious because you're very focused on your work. You are very disciplined about your work-life balance, which I admire. It has impacted your leadership style. It's impacted your personal life. Um, Based on those experiences, how do you bring that together? And what are your own expectations for yourself, for your company?
For me, I'm not a big fan of doing making too many companies and being a serial entrepreneur and things like that. Like I really admire people who give 8, 10, 12 years building a company. Again, those same examples like Vijay from Paytm or Dipinder from Zomato and a lot of these people, right? Because the real beauty of a company comes in after many years. We have like all of us when we start, we think, okay, maybe 2, 3 years we'll exit, do all of that. All that is not going to happen. So for me, I also believe in the same. And for me, I believe one goal, one journey, which is that um, I want to make this a legacy for myself, my founding team, and the rest of the team members. We want to build a company that will last forever. We hope Router remains forever. And for me also, therefore, while I'm already 44, and I know that I don't have too much time, like I can't make multiple companies. So I want to give this company my everything, fight till the last, and really make a very meaningful journey out of it. And once I'm off it, once either we have exited, gone public, whatever happens eventually, that is the time I'll perhaps think of giving back and maybe sharing the learnings and all. So this is what my journey is. I mean, you'll see this. It's all about being focused, doing one thing at a time, which is why I, for example, don't invest at all. I'm not an angel investor. A lot of people reach out. I'm very, very focused on this. I just feel all of this is distraction. Um, so that is my journey, and of course, besides that, live a very fulfilled life, constantly learning new things. I'm taking a chess coaching right now. Gone back to chess. I'm playing multiple sports right now. Learning gaming, doing a lot of these things, which are great fillers. On the company side, again, very similar vision as I mentioned, a few minutes back. That we know that this industry will peak in 2 to 5 years horizon. We want to be there first, alive and thriving, then being a great contributor. And if there is a way, if we continue to learn and build a good framework, perhaps become one of the biggest gaming companies from India and maybe for the rest of the mobile markets, not the world, the mobile markets, which is Southeast Asia and wherever mobile is big. But a lot of work needs to be done. We are not even 10% there. So let's see how it goes. Both are single-minded journeys. Let's see how it goes from here.
And your focus, single-mindedness, but also your humanity they show through Piyush. It's such a delight and really now a privilege that you've taken the time. And I know this will not be the last time we speak. So I'll thank you for now, but I'll say until next time.
Thank you, Peggy. Always, always a pleasure to speak with you. The reason I say this is because I always enjoy these calm discussions where I'm also thinking constantly, and you're able to bring in the long-term view, and you're very kind. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And of course, if you're tuning into In the Groove on YouTube, well, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. It will allow you to stay up to date with the series. And not only that, enjoy the pure gold of knowledge and insights our guests bring to every episode.